Alright, so what is up, guys? In the previous session, we learned about what are dictionaries, how we can define dictionaries as a key value pairs of a table, and how we can print out all the elements of a dictionary, as well as we understood what's the difference with the square brackets for the keys and not putting the square brackets for the keys. So in this session, we'll be understanding what are errors. So I ran three errors here, which are logical errors, runtime error, and syntax error. Basically, in today's session, we won't be understanding how to script or code anything. It's basically just having these basic knowledge. So if your script or your code has any sort of error or any sort of problem, then you might need these three to understand the source or the solution for your script. You can even use this on if you're not getting the desired output from your script. So starting off, let's start with syntax error. So with the name itself, you can tell what is syntax error. So let's say, so this is a very basic for loop I've written here. So as you know, the syntax for loop is for followed by the condition and then do, and then the script inside of the for loop, and then ending with the end keyword. Let's say I forgot to write do. So if I have to run this script, it will say, so it says server script service.script expected do when parsing for loop got print. Basically, it's trying to say that you have not written the exact syntax for loop. So in order to fix this, I'll be just putting for I equals 1, 10 do. Basically, that was syntax errors. If you get to complete a loop or a statement, if condition then, and you forget to write then it's gonna be a syntax error. So next one, let's move on to logical error. Logical error is a sort of human error, and you won't really get it in your script unless you use certain functions, which in the future videos I'll be explaining how to use them. But logical errors, in short, basically, let's say I'm trying to make two variables divide and get the output print a/b. So what I'm doing here is I'm dividing a by b. So 10 divided by 20 is 1 by 2, which is 0.5. But let's say the value of b is 0. So in the print statement, it will be 10 divided by 0, and anything divided by 0 is infinite or undefined, which basically leads to an error. And this sort of error is logical error. In spite of this code not having any syntax or any sort of error in the code itself or the structure of the code, it will still give an error because we're trying to divide a number with 0. Well, it even applies to other stuff. Let's say I want local damage. Alright, so here I've written local damage equals 100, AK47.damage equals to damage. So basically the damage of this model called AK47, it will be 100. But let's say I change the value of damage to 130, but I wanted my game to have the damage 100. But by mistake, while writing the code, I write that local damage with the data being 130. So this is a logical error. When I wanted my game to have the damage as 100, I've written the damage as 130 in my script by mistake. In spite of this mistake, the script will still run this code and it won't show any sort of error because the structure of the code or the syntax of the code is valid and it has no errors. So basically that was logical error. Logical error is, in short, you can say it as it's a sort of human error when the person is writing the code and he makes small changes to the values of a variable or the function of the script while the script is being true with no syntax error, and the console or the Roblox studio still runs the entire script, but it does not meet the desired output for the user. Okay, so that was logical error. Runtime error, in short, it is basically, let me just define a function called sum a comma b. So here you can see that I've put two parameters a comma b in the function sum, and I've passed two arguments 5 comma 10. So there's no error in this small code snippet I've written here. Code snippet means a really small script. So this is a code snippet, I would say. And 5 comma 10, since this has no error, I'll be just removing one argument, which is 10, and just passing 5. Since the function sum has two parameters, my bad, a comma b, I've just passed 5. So this 5 will get assigned to a. Since there is no value for b, which I've passed in the arguments, it will show an error. And this kind of an error is a runtime error because This happens only during the runtime, and it's not a logical error nor a syntax error. You can even say when you're triggering or calling a function, or let's say the conditions of an if statement or whatsoever. So that's where runtime error actually happens. Alright, so that was it for today's video. If you guys have any doubts, queries, or whatsoever, kindly reach out to me in the comment section. Till then, stay safe. Bye bye.